Okay, good night. So this will be this will be the fourth chapter in the Nero Utility 101 saga. This saga deals with the issue of Neros and with relation to energy, specifically in the utility scale. I mean, in the large scale. Um, this will be more than the previous chapter, very historical. We'll deal with his history, and I admit that it's more speculative than than many other videos, but nevertheless, it's important for you, my audience, to get um, a pretty good picture of history and the current situation with regards to the issue of nuclear energy. Even if I admit it might not be 100% accurate, admittedly so, but it will be accurate enough for you to understand very important things and to reach your own conclusions with regards to very practical, I would say, very practical questions or situations, or problems that you face with regards to nuclear energy. Because I'm pretty certain that the main kind of my main claims in this video are correct, will be correct, but maybe I will be a little wrong in kind of in the positioning of the correct order of historical events, or and almost certainly I do not have the accurate the picture of the power struggle within international politics. I don't know exactly who is against who, and it's very difficult to know it, and it's not that important. It's not that important. It's actually not that important. From I represent another civilization, the Caribs, and I try to think like them, and they don't really care. For them, it's the Earth. And whenever they do something, it's always global. Everything that they do is everything that they ever did and still doing it is always global. Always. They don't care about flags. They don't care about maps, countries, states. And I admit it. It took me some time to adapt that sort of thinking, and I'm still. It's sometimes difficult because I was born as Israeli and I was raised as Israeli, and I hate Israel because it's a Nazi state, and it's not that easy on a personal level, and to forget the fact that you live in a Nazi country and among predators and scum of the earth, and of course so it's kind of a prism that that you judge reality. According to your Israeli background and your hatred towards Israel, but nevertheless, Israel, the Arabs, this civilization, they don't. That threatens to destroy the earth. They don't care about Israel at all. They don't know where is it. They really, as I say many times, they can't find it in their maps. It's just too small. They don't have microscopes that are with enough magnification power to actually watch Israel. They only care about Earth. That's the way. That's the way they always acted, and they still act this way up until today. And I learned to understand it. That this is the correct way, and so I try to adapt this sort of thinking. So yes, maybe I don't know exactly the power struggle within the international community, but it's not that important. Now I should also add another kind of introduction that I'll repeat something that I've already said. In the other chapters of this saga, is that this is an incredibly important subject, and you might wonder why I didn't speak about it more until now. Those of you that didn't listen to me anyway, which is like almost everybody. I mean, okay, I mean, but I mean, you probably won't care. But I mean, it's kind of like a question for me because I mean, I speak for so long. Like I mean, it's the journey of 4 years, and this issue was, I mean, either not represented at all in my many videos and speaks, you know, and like sagas, historical sagas, or I mean, just I mean, I spoke about it like in kind of like, I mean, just in passing. So, and it should be said that most of what I outlined before you now in this video is almost all of it is kind of like a puzzle that was made from stuff that you can already find it in this channel. Like I mean, just in passing. Like I mean, not in like a monograph way. So it's not like I mean that I've had like I mean huge discoveries very lately. It's just that I mean I kind of like I mean it came to my understanding that I mean I need to address this issue. And while I thought about it, I also understood that it's actually a very important issue. But you need to understand something. I approach the issue, I mean, what you call tea, the drug, this drug that I mean, that people all abroad in Israel consume, and it's also, I mean, it's also kind of like, I mean, you know, kind of like, I mean, cannibalistic substance. I mean, I approach it in a scientific way. I study it for 10 months now. I study it, so I mean, I under the microscope, I conduct tests, I raise theories, and I falsify them or verify them, verify it, and I try to approach it in a very scientific way, and I am proud of it because I do it in very, you know, very unbelievably difficult circumstances. Unbelievably difficult circumstances. Like I'm under all this time I was under house arrest without money at all, and there was so many hardship, and I don't have scientific background. I mean. So at least I mean not in the life sciences or in physics, but I mean, but yes, I'm proud of that. That's what I do, and you need to understand that I mean most people, even so it sounds amazing, but most people throughout the 20th century and up to the 21st century, they approach it like I mean like kind of like I mean a mythology that is extremely important, but I mean not in a scientific way. So there was kind of like a mismatch of approach of like I mean of the way that the Israeli people I mean deal with this subject and deal with it for so long, and it's incredibly important for them, but not in a scientific way, but kind of like it's part of a culture and religion and also of course part of the national security, like I mean agenda, and part of and lately in the last couple of decades it's also a great source of income for money, but not in a scientific way. And I mean, most of like my lens like is the scientific prism, okay? That's why it was kind of like I mean, it wasn't entirely, I mean, straightforward for me to understand that among else what the things that I deal with in the scientific way, and that I mean, and my own subjugation and abuse is related to the incredibly important issue of nuclear energy and nuclear artifacts. Even though it's not that I didn't understand it, it's just that I was I mean too much. I mean, I was focused on other aspects that I spoke about a lot in this channel. And yes, only in that maybe couple of weeks I kind of like I mean, you know, I just I mean, because it was never all these like 10 months that I do this, that I conduct these studies. There was not a dull moment. I mean, always like new horizons and new ideas and new amazing discoveries. So it wasn't like that I was bored, but I mean, during the last couple of days or weeks, I mean, it became more obvious to me that I need to kind of like I mean to address the issue of energy. So I kind of like I mean I sorted that out and create like a picture of events, and I now I will present this picture for you because I think that it's incredibly important. So I will not repeat everything that I've ever said because I mean you need to watch the videos. I'll repeat in very short like the absolute thing that you have to know in order to understand like both the history and the nature of the things that to speak about. So I will say the following. First, the planet Venus is not what is known to in the public. It's a planet that is actually very similar to Earth. And this was kept as a secret. And it was kept as such a secret that actually many people, I mean, I feel even like in the intelligence communities of the world, didn't know about it or forget about it, or the new generation didn't get this information. Now there is more than one Stargate actually between. Now the planet over there is kind of like Venus is a little smaller than Earth, and it's covered by more water, percentage than Earth. I don't exactly know the numbers, but the ocean covers, in Earth, like 70% is covered by ocean. In Venus, it's somewhat a little bit more than that. I don't know if it's 80% or 90%, but still, and the whole area is somewhat smaller, maybe 90% of the area of Earth or something like that. So there is less land, but still, it's a planet. Even if it's much less land than Earth, it's still quite a bit. You can crunch the numbers, but even if it's like only 50 or 60% land area, it's still quite a bit. But of course, it's kind of like many islands because there are many ocean, like a lot of ocean. And there is more than one Stargate. Stargate is a portal, just not very different than what you see in Stargate movie. If you just for the kind of the general idea. Even though I've never seen it in my life, I don't know how it looks, but I have very good, very. Nevertheless, I have a ton of information about it because of all sorts of reasons that I cannot repeat now. But even though I've never seen it in my life, and certainly never passed through it, I've never been in Venus in my life, I don't think to actually watch it and pass through it in order to actually be in the planet in order to have a ton of information about all of these things, because you don't need to watch something in your own eyes in order to get information. Arguably, it's not even that important to actually to have this experience. Presumably the experience in itself is not that important. What's more important is to organize the knowledge and to put it in context and to organize it in a scientific way. And this is something that most of the Israelis, even those that went through the gate many times, didn't do. That's why only one of the reasons why I'm in a very good position to speak about those issues. But not only because of that. There are more additional reasons for that. I'm not just anyone, I'm representative of another civilization that is incredibly powerful. Okay, I'm not Venusian, and I'm not Homo sapiens. I call myself Cherubs. We have tremendous capabilities, and so it's just another reason why I can speak about this stuff. Now, the Israelis in general, since the beginning of the 20th century, or even a little before, they went there, they captured mostly female, but also males, and they brought them here, and they were used as initially all sorts of slaves, and situation for the males was always terrible and became only more and more terrible, and I cannot repeat everything. They were treated in the most cruel way, and the females, the situation was somewhat better but also terrible, but it's gradually throughout the 20th century it became better, and part of it is due to things that people that I call my predecessors have done. I was born in 1984. I'm not a time traveler or something like that. I had pretty normal childhood in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and I served in the military. I speak about myself in other videos, but I'm pretty I have pretty much, I would say, normal background. But I had predecessors, people that that were sent like me, to humanity to warn them of all of great things that of terrible things that happened with regard to Venusian exploitation. There was more than one, but the most important one, from my perspective, is the one that was before me, and and his actions culminated during the 1980s. And I speak about him quite a lot in this channel. I don't know his name, and I don't know how he looked like. I don't know a lot of things about him, but I know, like, I mean, in essence, he was very similar to me. I mean, he was an Israeli, and he was he was tortured by the Israelis, and all his life was like persecuted. I mean, and framed, and painted like in bad way. But I mean, because that's what the Israelis are doing. That's what they are. And I know a lot of. I mean, I had. A lot of what I've done is during the last couple of years is to understand his life in all sorts of ways that I cannot repeat now how it's done. But it's done in all sorts of ways. This can be done. So I learned to understand him and his struggles, and I understood. I mean, much of what he has done was in the context of the Cold War, of like, I mean, trying to change the attitude of superpowers, and especially the KGB and CIA, to change the way their attitude towards Israel and towards the evolutionary exploitation, and without much success. And I can totally see why, because it's impossible. They don't care. They are scumbags. I mean, it's not different today. They were scumbags back in the day, and they're still scumbags now. So I understand, but I mean, it's not exactly the same. It's not like we are the same. We live in the same situation. And the most important difference is the change, the dramatic change in the situation of the Titan females in Israel. And the change was because of the things that he've done. Unfortunately, this change is, it turned out to be very, very bad for me specifically, because I grew up and I live in a world like until now. Until today, I live in kind of like a world where the Titan females are integral part of the Israeli national security. Like, they have like they run the show in the Shabak and the Mossad. Maybe it's an exaggeration, but not a very big one. They are very important in these organizations. This wasn't the situation before, like the actions of my predecessor. Like it wasn't like that. All around throughout the 20th century and like until the 1980s, when it started to, it was a gradual change. But there was a very big change, following the things that he've done. Now, I cannot speak about everything that he've done because I've already spoken about it in a series of videos that I call the Bicycle Saga, so please listen to these videos. I should just say that the major difference is that now these Titan females are my worst enemies, especially those that live in Israel. And those that live abroad, because there are also those that live abroad. I can say that, some of them are just like the ones in Israel, and they fully cooperate with them. They are active. Like, they have all sorts of positions in higher intelligence services, and like especially in the West and like in Western countries, and like in essence they are just like they are just. From my perspective, they are just like the Israeli ones, which means Nazi scum of the earth. And like others. At best, are just clueless and stupid and don't know nothing and don't want to know. And like that's the best. I would say the best judgment, like the best, defense that I can have, like on the Titans, like that live in this earth, is that I can say that some of them, this is kind of like the least bad, like the best case scenario for them is that to say that they know nothing and they're totally stupid. But most do know. But I don't want to get into it. Just to say that this is a major difference. The difference from my situation to his situation. It's not the same situation. And I spoke about this guy quite a bit, and his hardships and his like he fought like in the 60th War and all of the stuff. Like I mean, and so just listen to this saga, and I will continue to speak about some more things that relates to this guy today, because I mean there's more to say. There's more to say. I would just say that first of all, just I mean to avoid any kind of like misunderstanding. I'm not him. I'm not a time traveler or something like that. And I'm not. We are not like the same person that pops up in all sorts of areas. We are people. Like I was born and raised in Tel Aviv, and I had childhood, and and memories, and kind of. And I write about it and speak about it quite. I wasn't like no, I'm not an angel that came from like a from the sky, and like and like I'm a person, and my suffering is real. Like I need money, and I don't. The country robs me of all my money and torture me and like and I have daughters, and they are taken from me, and you need to understand. I am a real person, and with real torture and suffering, and the same he was also a real person that and he was also tortured and suffered by the Israelis. But he had his life, and I had my own life. But he was my predecessor because he was the messenger before me. And in order to understand my situation, it was important for me, and it took place during a process. Of like it took several years to understand like the situation of his life, and like to understand the Cold War, especially the later stages of the Cold War, and to understand like the problem that he faced, like like the frustration of trying for so long to push the information, so people in the CIA and the KGB will care, but they don't care. They just don't care, and they still don't care. Of course, there is no KGB now. There is something else, whatever. But these people just don't care, and they also had the interest. Like it's more complicated than that. But spoken about it for so long, I cannot repeat everything. It's not just that they don't care, because many of them were actually and also vested interest in those issues. But I let's not repeat everything. Just to say, he had his hardship, and I have my own. But even before him, there were other predecessors. But they are less important. Even though at the time they were important. They done important stuff, and I have some information I have also about them, like that they even like the more kind of predecessor of the predecessor, and but this is of less importance for me, like of practical importance for me. But this is not a new issue. Like that people are sent to Israel and they live in Israel because this is the crucible here. This is the worst place. They are sent to Israel not because it's the best place, but because it's the worst place. It's the worst place. That's why messengers are kept being sent here to live here, and they must live here because otherwise they couldn't understand this reality. There is no way to understand reality to the extent that I understood it, and also my predecessor understood it, without living in Israel. So we had to live in Israel, but yeah, it's a life of sadness. There's a constant sorrow, a life of constant sorrow, a life of constant sorrow. That's what it is. Anyway, listen. Two issues that were repeated throughout my research. And you can see it, encounter it in many videos, research videos that I uploaded to this channel starting 10 months ago. There was two kind of questions that I asked many times without getting just question, rhetorical questions, without answers. Even though slowly I understood the answers to this question, but they were important questions from my perspective. And the first question is, what's the issue of because I understood that that people are using the bodily fluids of the Titan females like as a drug, and they get addicted to the drug. Let's make a very quick introduction to but this was discussed for so long. But just in case someone do not remember, the cherubs and the titans, or the evolutions, I call the evolution titans. We have robots in our body, and these robots vary tremendously in size, from the small nanoscopic scale to the almost like more than microscopic scale. And these robots, I call them Neros, following the Emperor Nero, Nero. And they are three kinds of Neros. They are my own, that I call the yellow ones, like I'm just as a color code. And they are the ones of the female Venusian that I call the red ones, and the ones of the brown, I call brown Neros, that are the ones that are in the body of male Venusians. And the female Venusians. Now, a very early hypothesis of mine was that they exist free, and that they are completely different. They are very different in nature, and that people in Israel do not understand it. And of course, abroad, they do not understand it. But it was clear for me. And you might ask, so how do you know it? Even though all my research was done on the yellow Neros, like my own, I never received any of the red Neros, like what you call the tea, the drug. I've never received any of it. I've never eaten a spoon of it. And certainly I didn't see brown Neros, because there aren't, since the 1980s, there is very difficult to, like, males cannot be found. They can, but very rarely. Of course, I didn't have no access to their bodily fluids, only to my own. So how can you even say that? So how can you prove it? And why was it so? Why were you so sure about it? Like, since the beginning. What's actually? What makes you so pretentious? Like, to think that the Israelis won't understand all that. So I speak about it a lot in this channel. I will just say very shortly the following. The red Neros are created in the body of the female Venusians, and they are taken from their bodily fluids, and they are used as drugs. As a drug, that was evident to me because I had many supporting evidence for that. And it's difficult to hide it, even though it's kind of like a state secret. But it's difficult to hide it because it's used tremendously inside Israeli societies for more than 100 years, and they also sold it abroad, like all throughout the 20th century. So many people all around the world actually took this drug. So it's difficult to hide this thing. Now I understood very quickly that these are actually robots, nanobots. I call it nanobots, even though they can come in a microscopic scale. Again, I say all of that without seeing the red ones, only the yellow ones, my own. That I almost certain that they look the same under the microscope. But I understood that they are not the same. First of all, I understood about the red ones that they cannot replicate themselves. Because if they could, why is it such a sought after commodity? Like, if they can easily replicate themselves, why is it such a kind of such a coveted commodity both in Venus and in Earth, like, for so long, and such a valuable drug, like, that people like kill each other for, and certainly do every kind of vicious thing, like, in order to get it. If it's like self-replicated robots. So it's not self-replicated robots. Otherwise, the whole history of the Earth and Venusian relationship, and certainly in the 20th century, would have been like a dark comedy where people kill each other and start wars and do all sorts of atrocities without imagination for a drug that is actually robots that can self-replicate. So how stupid you are, both Venusians and humans. And how can this is kind of like a crude joke if it was true, but it's not. It's not true. They cannot self-replicate. Even though they are amazing, they can do amazing stuff. And I understood very quickly that the Israelis that eat it like as a drug, and also people abroad are barbarian, unbelievably barbarian. What are you even doing? This is so wrong for so many reasons. I spoke about it a lot. I don't want to repeat it, but I just say the following. These red Neros can do many things, but they cannot self-replicate. Also, it was obvious to me, for all sorts of reasons, and I can't repeat everything, that it's created in the evolution female body, but it's not always created. That in order for it to be created, it requires kind of like a trigger, like another substance that will actually make it multiply and grow. And this substance naturally, through the natural state of affairs, because even though these people have robots in their body, they still have nature. They are like humans in almost every aspect you can think about. And this is manifested too, and you can see them. They are all over the place, certainly in Israel. So it's not they're basically humans. Not that it's such a good thing it's not a good thing. So we're all clear. They're scumbags like humans. And Venus is in the gutters for so long because of their scumbaggery. Venus is in ruins. Venus is in ruins for many years because of their evil ways, and also because the Israelis committed genocide over there. But the Israeli genocide was the cherry on the cake. The cherry on the cake. Because if the Venusians were not scumbags, by the time the Israeli monkeys started the raids by the end of the 19th century, if the Venusian historically were not scumbags, they could have just annihilate the Israelis before they even started to do all their cruelties. The fact that the Israelis found such a backward society that they could have done almost whatever they wanted and also committed genocide is because this is a planet in ruins. Because the people are disgusting. Sorry for being judgmental, but yes, I am judgmental, and I judge these people to be disgusting. That's why their planet is in ruins. Otherwise, it could have been a totally different planet. Yes, they have major problems especially related, compared to Earth, that they have very long nights and very long days. And this is a problem. And from that aspect, the situation in Earth is much better. But nevertheless, it's not a problem that it's not a problem that forbids or prevents the creation of maintaining technological civilization and prospering civilization. There are ways to overcome these problems, and they have all sorts of other huge advantages over the Earth, and most of all the fact that it's manifested too that they are post-apocalyptic society. Of course they are. They are post-apocalyptic society. And they still have left in their body. Amazing technology. Which it's in their own body. But what's better than that? That's the most important thing of all. And the most the most dramatic advantage is their own body. Their own body is a product of a technological society. highly technological society, much more than that of the Earth. Like I mean, until now, including now. This is, I mean, this is all for this. I mean, this is manifesting through. I mean, just I mean, the basic facts about like these people. I mean, it just is the definite proof that what I say now is correct. I mean, you don't need more proof than that. I mean, otherwise, how their body is full of robots. I mean, it's. I mean, these are robots, like amazing robots. But I mean, robots, like I mean, they were put there by intelligent designer. I mean, of course, I believe in God, so I believe that everything is there by the intelligent designer. Like I mean, including, of course, like I mean, bodies of humans. But I mean, even the most, like I mean, the most, like I mean, hard-headed, like I mean, atheist. I mean, that might like reject all my claims or other religious people claims regarding like situation in Earth. Even him or her, like would have to admit that the bodies of the Venusians is a product of intelligent design. Of course, I mean, what else explain the fact that their body is full of robots, amazing robots. Now, what exactly happened is actually interesting. And I have pretty good notion of what exactly happened historically. And I speak about it in other series of videos that are called the fairy tale, the Three Sisters fairy tale. And I'm in the middle of recording these videos, but I mean, there is always like all sorts of like violence threats here, so I'm always like, I mean, always stressed out, and I cannot complete this kind of, but it's very interesting, but it's related to events that occurred a long time ago, and they are very interesting because they shed light on the like distant history of Venus, but also distant history of Earth. And I think it's very interesting, but it's all happened a long time ago, and nothing of it explains what's going on right now. What's going on right now is not related to the fairy tale, to this fairy tale. It's something else. And mostly they are fucked up society, and above all, the problem, I mean, they have all sorts of problems, but the worst problem is assassinations of male. To a point that there are almost like none. Like I mean, that there are less and less, and I mean, it's not happen. It's not something that happens in a day. Like I mean, some like, and it's a planet. I mean, in some places they live to like pretty much like in harmony, and and some places are better than others, and like it's not that every time like someone like a female sees a male they murder them, not like that. But I mean they have also like very bad behaviors that they do for many thousands of years, and this accumulates like to a situation where I mean polygamy is very common, and even I mean you can live with that. I mean, okay, polygamous societies are not. I mean, okay, in Earth it was also common, and it's not. I mean, of course, kind of like I mean, I believe that I mean monogamous, like I mean, societies that encourage like a holy union between men and women, like in marriage, like of course as it was supported by the church for so long. I believe that of course these are superior societies to polygamous societies, of course, but I mean I would say that this in itself, it does, even that, I mean it's not like I mean this in itself does not explain why they are in such a bad condition. But the problem is that I mean even with polygamy there was not enough males, because the females assassinate the males for all sorts of reasons. And this is the main issue. This is the main problem in this planet. Of course they have other problems as well, but the main problem is this kind of like I mean chronic problem of of killing males. Although there are even worse things than that, but things that, I mean, actually happened quite a bit in Earth as well. But I mean, you don't. Most people today do not. They don't want to speak about it too much, like, because it was things that were far more common in Earth than many of you, whoever you are, probably believe, because you have kind of like, I mean, your knowledge about things that happen in Earth is actually very, very, I would say, skewed, or like, I mean, biased. I mean, but I mean, I mean, it's a whole new topic. It's a whole topic from itself. Like, I mean, it actually relates to things that I want to speak about in this context. But I would say that, I mean, you have you miss a lot of information, like, I mean, regarding your own past, like, I mean, in Earth. Partly because paleontology is problematic science, a very problematic science, and I spoke about it in the past, and I still have a lot to say about it, but I cannot speak about everything, like, everything at once. But I should say that paleontology is a very problematic science. And just to say, I don't have a problem with evolution. Like, I mean, I'm not like a fundamentalist Christian. Like, of course, I consider myself a Protestant, of course, but as you know, but not a fundamentalist like Protestant. Like, I mean, I do not believe that you need to take, like, the Bible. I mean, I believe that it's true, but not. It should be taken literally, and I do not reject evolution, like, as a concept in itself. Like, I mean, but paleontology is very problematic, and this was, I mean, some of the problem with paleontology was proven to you by myself during the last couple of weeks. It was proven to you the problems with paleontology, but let's not repeat ourselves. Just to say, I do not reject science or something like that. I mean, I tell you that, I mean, with science, I mean, using the scientific method, whatever you think that it means, like, I mean, and by conducting experiments, I can prove to you, I mean, if you just want to open your eyes, that there are serious problems with paleontology. Anyway, what I was kind of like beginning to say is that cannibalism is not unheard of in Venus, for several reasons. But it was actually not that uncommon in Earth as well. So, I mean, you were not that better than them, like, up until very recently. And also, discarding of male babies that are not like, I mean, held to a certain standard of health or things like that. Like, famously, it was done in Sparta. People remember it to this day, and it's even like depicted in this movie, the 300 movie of Snyder. So people remember this thing. Like, I mean, but in reality, not only the Spartan did it. It was actually many human societies actually have done it. Like, I mean, that, like, male babies that were not good enough, like, were just thrown away. It's horrible, but I mean, you should know that these things happen in Venus, but you were not that much better than that, like, until very recently. Just to say, I mean, I don't think that you were that better than them. Anyway, it's not a nice planet to live in, but mostly because of the way that, I mean, the way that they are, and all of these things. Just to say, everything that they describe now does not relate directly. It's not this in itself. These things are not they are not certainly not in direct way related to the apocalypse. That the apocalypse. As I said, it's a post-apocalyptic society, but these things are not related to the nature of the apocalypse. The apocalypse took place in, I mean, it occurred in a completely different place. It wasn't the same place, and it wasn't the same people, and it was a completely different place, and completely different people, and of course tremendously more advanced, like uh, so it's not that like they of course they didn't like do these things like they did not like mother babies or no, of course not. But it was a completely different time. It happened so long ago. And these things are, in dramatic way and somewhat metaphorical way, but also very realistic way. Like truthful way are depicted in the fairy in the what they call the fairy tale, the Three Sisters fairy tale, like the apocalypse. But it's a different place, different time, completely different. Like just something else. So I understood very quickly that the red robots are created in the body of the females, and in order for this to happen, they need to exchange fluid with the males that are bonded with them. Like in modern kind of anachronistic maybe like a terminology, you can say married to them. Of course, it's not the same like it's like. But it means bonding, and they are actually very loyal to each other, and extremely loyal to each other. Should be said that potentially they can live for many hundreds of years. It's not always actually what happens. But they have potentially very long lifespan. Just to say that they have, yes, the planet is in the gutters, but they still have their bodies, and this is the most amazing technology of all, like their own bodies. So they still have it, and they can still use it, to create like a prospering society, and they don't, because they are assholes, and because the females murder the males. Sometimes they murder them. Watch the way that they treat me here. Look at them. Look at these creatures. Look what they do to me. Look how they treat me. And what do you need more to say more than that? It's in their blood to be disgusting towards male. This is it. This is reality. This is reality. So what's happening is that there are no more men. Not in the planetary. I'm not saying that there are no more males in Venus, but there were less and less and less and less. And when the Israelis came and literally eaten the males and raped them and killed them and spread diseases and committed genocide, the situation got worse and worse. But still, even with disregard to the Israelis, long before that, there are not enough males. And this is the major problem right now and in the last good several thousand of years. Now, it should be said, I understood very quickly that my robots can self-replicate, both in my body and outside my body. And when I first seen these robots under the microscope about 10 or 9 months ago, this was documented in this channel. The first videos in this channel are my first documentation of these robots. Before that, I've never seen them. But I already speculated about them and about their nature years before that. Now, there is a basic thing that you need to understand about me, if it's not clear to you. I didn't know that there is anything different about me until 2019, when I was already 35 years old. Until then, I thought I'm just a Homo sapiens. And even until now, nobody ever told me anything different than that. Like, I mean, nobody ever approached me. Nobody, like, not friend, family member, anyone, like, any people of authority. Only the opposite. People that, I mean, always can try to put me in a mental institution because, I mean, presumably, I mean, I'm insane. To say, like, things that, even though, I mean, there are hard to prove that I'm not Homo sapiens. It's very easy to prove it, and there is a mountain of evidence that I'm not Homo sapiens. But this was kept a secret from me. And this is because I don't need anything different than Homo sapiens in order to live. I eat whatever you eat. I sleep like you, if I'm not bothered by that. I do not require any material or any kind of like special need to live my life. And it was always like that, and it's still like that. Obviously, these robots replicate in my body because there are so many of them, and because, I mean, even if they are, like, I mean, presumably, theoretically immortal, of course I lose some, I mean, and evidently I lose some, like when I pee, I mean, when I ejaculate, they can be found in all the fluids of my body. It makes sense that, I mean, if they, it makes sense that anything that, that is part of your body, I mean, should, I mean, some of it should degrade and die. I mean, this is true to almost everything that I can think of that, I mean, inside like an organism that, I mean, because organism, it's kind of, I mean, it's always changing, and some, I mean, it's always in flow. So, I mean, some will die, along the way. So the others will be born. But in order for, and this is true because, I mean, it must be true, but I don't eat anything different, and I do not require any kind of like a different material or different, whatever. And I never did. Like, I don't need no special drug or special like treatment or thing like that. So it means that they self-replicate by just, I mean, getting energy from just food, whatever food I eat, like, which is just, I mean, normal human food, like nothing special. So my hypothesis is that I can actually make them do it outside my body, and also make them grow. And this was a major topic in this channel, and it's still a major topic, and it was proven without any doubt that it's actually true. I've created amazing amount of them outside my body, and huge ones. Like, I mean, it was demonstrated in so many experiments. So, I mean, it's beyond any doubt. So at least I can say in 100%, I can be 100% certain about the following like statement that are truths without, beyond, like, I mean, any shred of like a doubt. The following is true. What you call the T, this drug, is actually nanobots that I call the red Neros. They are created inside the body of female Venusians. But in order for them to be created, they require the brown ones that exist inside the male body. And they are very, very hard to find since the 1970s, because even though there were quite a bit of men, like male Venusians that lived in Israel, it was always not that much as like the females, and it's pretty much dropped to zero with time. So mostly what you call the T is the red, this red. And it should be said that they can be gathered in other places in Venus as well. Like, not only in the female body. But in Earth, they are created inside the female, in Earth, the only way to create it is inside the female body, the Venusian female body. Now, in the past, it was known that in order for that to happen, they need to change bodily fluids with the males. But this information was kind of like lost in the last couple of decades. Now, my Neros can do everything that the brown or the red ones can do, but they can also self-replicate. and they have amazing ability to deal with life forms, like to kill life forms, to replicate life forms. They are amazing in that. But let's think about, I spoke about it in other situations, so I don't want to repeat myself. Now, there were two questions that bothered me and this, I mean, was presented in this channel. And I was, I mean, just from the start, from the get-go. And I mean, it took me a lot of time to understand like the answers to these questions. So I present the questions and then I stop the video because it's not going to be too long, but I will start another one just now. I mean, so we'll not need to wait for the next chapter. And so, but I'll just, I mean, upload it first. So, but let's just end with these two questions. So the first question is, I understood very well that this drug, I mean, while Homo sapiens are eating it, they call it the T or the P or whatever. I understand that it's not the only thing that kind of like, I mean, that is different in definitions like from me, but there is also something like, I mean, that they call it charging. Like I don't know why. That presumably they need energy. Like, and I didn't understand, is this a metaphor? Like, I mean, because I get my energy, you know, that human. Like I eat, you know, hummus with pita and like, you know, and I go to sleep. I mean, when I'm not like threatened, like, and you know, when people do not torture me, I live like pretty normal life. Like, I mean, so why do they need this energy? Like, I mean, what's the issue with the energy? They keep speaking about energy. Like, I mean, they associated the drug very strongly with energy in Israel, and the consumption of the drug with the metaphor of charging, and I didn't understand why is it like that, because I understand that it's not just like, I mean, a metaphor. Like, I mean, yes, you can say, I mean, sometimes people like say, let's get charged, and when they mean like, I mean, to you know, to shove, like, I mean, you know, a large amount of booze like into your stomach before you go to, like, I mean, you go out. Like, I mean, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you know, it's kind of like, I mean, you know, slang. But no, I mean, I understood that it's more than that. It's like, it's a very strong metaphor. Not just, I mean, you know, that, like, I mean, that by just simple drug abuse or alcohol abuse, but it's something else that they really associate this with. For some weird reason, they associate these robots with energy, and I didn't understand why is it like that. And I also understood that these people do not understand how is it possible that I'm never charged, because I'm never charged. Whatever you mean, I don't know what it even means to be charged. I only understood it very lately, but it's manifestly true that I do not require any special special charge. Like, I mean, whatever. I mean, you know, you can put me in arrest for like several weeks, as you've done several times, or I mean, or hiking, like, you know, in the John Muir Trail, you know, in the United States for like 17 days, like, I mean, consecutively, and you know, just, I mean, I'm never charged. Like, I mean, never, like, I mean, even close to being charged, or in my life I never tried. I just eat normal stuff, and so people did not understand, and this was used against me, like, as kind of like a proof that I must be like a serial killer and rapist and all sorts of kind of things that I didn't understand. How is it possible that anyone thinks such horrible things about me, because I'm like a manifestly good person, and second, how I mean, so why none of it was ever proved, and never even like, no one ever even like spoke to me about it. Like, I mean, the police never told me anything about it. Like, and also, how is it possible that you cannot prove it? I mean you follow me all life in the organization of this planet. So why can't you just prove it? I mean, but I mean, so because it's obviously wrong. Like, I never did any of this stuff. It's ridiculous. But people, I mean, their thought process was, so he's not a human. Like, he's not Homo sapiens. This is easily can be proven by any kind of biological explanation that you can think about. Like, anything that you take from me and put it under the microscope will prove to you that I don't have white blood cells. Okay, what more can you? I mean, just it's kind of enough. Like, I mean, my WBC equals 0. There is no Homo sapiens with 0 blood cells that, I mean, that is walking and speaking and everything is cool with him. I assure you. And it's very simple to count my white blood cells to see that it's 0. So people know I'm not like, I mean, Homo sapiens. But at the same time, they don't understand how is it possible that I am not charged, and like, and they use it as kind of like, I mean, as a proof that I'm also things, and that and also they don't understand what's the connection between these things. I mean, why, if I'm like a serial rapist or killer or all of the stuff, how is it like explained? Something that I don't even understand. Why should it be explained on the first place? Like, I mean, presumably we need to explain something, and this is explained by me being a murderer or whatever. I mean, all of this is so ridiculous. So this is the first question. I mean, what's the energy issue here? Like, what's the energy metaphor? Because it's not just, I mean, you know, the common metaphor of energizing, like, is like a slang for drug abuse, which is very common, but it's something deeper than that. Now, the second question that I asked a million times is that, I mean, whether, I mean, because my research was, I mean, subject was not only like multiplying the Neros, but also creating life forms. And this is still these things that I do. I mean, you know, and it's only getting more advanced and stuff. Now we are here. We are with the, you know, the yellow, like Full Metal Jacket, but maybe, I mean, at some point, I mean, we have already started to discuss, you know, the Leviathan, the Behemoth, you know, kind of, I mean, you know, half jokingly, but half not. I mean, you know, so, I mean, yeah, I mean, I wasn't lying to my daughter when I told her that Leviathan was the name of a huge creature, aquatic creature that was made by the robots. My daughters know about the robots. I speak to them about it, like, I mean, from time to time. So this is, I mean, this is reality. This is true. I mean, you should not be ashamed of telling the truth to anyone. Like, I mean, especially not to your daughters. Yes, the name Leviathan, which is in Hebrew translated to well, is actually a name of specific like creature. And this was known, like, in the past. This is actually it's a reference in the Bible and in other ancient texts. And this guy was created by the Neros, and his body will contain a ton of Neros. Now, there are many Israelis that are addicted to the drug that ask themselves, so, I mean, where is the guy now? And can we hunt the guy? I mean, and eat it? Because, like, I mean, it's like, I mean, you know, like, I mean, like 100 dinosaurs, like, I mean, that are made of cocaine for, like, a cocaine addict. Like, I'm kind of like, you know, the dream that, I mean, unbelievable dream. So some of you are going to actually eat it very soon. Anyway, I was all just interested in that. I was also interested in how to create material things. Because I thought to myself, so why only life forms? Why not material things? And so this was also, I mean, it's part of this channel, and I mean, part of my experiments. And this was actually, in general, much less successful than, like, the topic of multiplying the Neros and the topic of creating life forms, but mostly because I was less interested in that, because I understood that, I mean, all this time I'm under this, you know, the boot of the Shabak, and I understood that, I mean, if I'm now creating, like, things like golden rings for them, they will just take it for me, and I mean, like, I mean, and I will never be out of here. They will want me to be the golden ring maker, so I didn't have much interest in creating material things. That's why I spent much less energy and time on this than on creating life forms and multiplying the Neros. And I've also had much more success in multiplying the Neros and growing them and creating life forms. And I think that just because, I mean, I concentrated on these topics, but it was also in the agenda since the beginning, like, I mean, that these creatures can also help you with all sorts of, like, material things. And they've created material things that are actually very nice, even non-microscopic. So, when I understood it, very clearly. This is the second question that I had is, I mean, the first question was regarding the energy. What's the energy metaphor? I mean, what does it mean? And the second is, I thought to myself, I mean, so the Israelis, of course, know about this. I mean, I mean, they know about, like, I mean, that some of, I mean, even if they are completely stupid and ignorant, I mean, they certainly have some information, scientific information regarding these robots. So, I mean, and knowing that, I mean, they are so greedy, and money is everything in Israel. So like, I mean, it makes sense that they use these robots, and they understood that they take it from me, like from that they take it from my body. And they think that I'm like a farm animal that they can, like, I mean, abuse to no end. I understood it. So I asked myself, I mean, do they use it? I mean, and I understood that they use it, like, I mean, in order to, of course, it shouldn't say that I understood that they use the yellow Neros for my body to facilitate the creation of the red ones in the females, because the red ones cannot be created in the females for a long time without the brown ones, and they don't have, like, it's very, very difficult to get access, even with, if you have an active gate like Stargate, it's difficult to get access to the males because there are less and less males. And I'm like, I mean, no, so I live in Israel, so I mean, and they treat me as a slave. So I understood that they use it, like, to facilitate the creation of the red Neros in the body of the females. But I asked myself, maybe they also use it, like, to create stuff, like material again, like maybe gold or silver or whatever, like elements, like other elements. So maybe I asked myself, like the Israelis, they like gold so much, like, they like money so much. So maybe they use my robots, like, that they always like, I mean, scavenge for me to create gold. I mean, or maybe other material that is that was, like, I mean, money, because I don't know, gold, I mean, it's famously expensive, but maybe there are things that worth more than gold. I'm not sure. Like, I'm really, I'm not super materialistic, so I don't know, like, how much things are worth. But I mean, maybe there are things that even worth more than gold. So, do they do it actually, or, like, I mean, do they know how to do it? So let's stop here, and very in short while we'll start another chapter in this utility saga. Hopefully it started very, very soon, but I want to prepare, like, to make a cup of coffee, and also to upload. When I say coffee, I mean coffee. It's not a metaphor. And also to upload this video to the channel, and then we'll start another chapter.